Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav. In yesterday's session, I was absent as I was in travel. I have come to this beautiful country, Indonesia, where I'm staying at Bali, and hopefully I will be able to stay for quite long here after my visa for 3 months is accepted, which I have now applied, and I am looking forward to spending the new year here. Now, getting back to the trading, if we look at the market dynamics in today's session, the price action for most of the major forex currencies is rather tepid. Euro USD in particular, there is some action happening in the USD JPY. So this is a market where we will have to look for the opportunities while considering the relative volatility along with the relative strength and weaknesses of the various instrument of our choice. So let us now head to the JForex 4, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart where each candle period is defined at 5 minutes, and I have added this range of 4 hours and 2 hours using this Donchian channel with the calculation period of 48 and 24 respectively. So 24 multiplied by 5 turns out 120 minutes, that is 2 hours, and 48 multiplied by 5 turns out to 40 minutes, that's 4 hours. And also to consider the immediate trend on the lower time frame, we have these 12 SMA, that is 1 hourly moving average and 2 hourly moving average, to look for the immediate trend in conjunction with the fast price action. So if and when we have strong moves happening in a very short span of time, we will have that move on this lower time frame, and as and when the reversal happens, that is also going to be captured. So that is the whole purpose of utilizing these lower time frame moving averages of 1 and 2 hours respectively. Now if you look at the range of the Euro USD for today's session, it is rather narrow compared to last many days. I think if we take the whole range, it is somewhere just little above 40 pips, somewhere close to 50 pips. And in recent days, if we consider the average range for the Euro USD, it has been almost 100 pips. So there is a change in today's session. But I think as we are going to see the volatility pick up at least to some extent after the start of the North American trading session, which is now getting underway, we will have to, of course, brace for a higher range. And at the moment, looking at this price trajectory, it looks like that this recently formed swing high, which is slightly above the prior day's high, is likely to extend further unless there is any kind of reversal and decline below 1.05. So we have good support in place at around 1.05, and that is the reason why we are not really seeing any strong selling pressure in Euro USD. For last couple of days, the Euro USD has been hovering closer to this 1.05 range, and if we look at this consolidation after this prior rise, we have many more reasons to believe that it's just a matter of time before we see the Euro USD climbing past this 1.059, which is the immediate swing high formed a couple of days back. So that possibility is quite strong even in today's session, even though the volatility has been rather less. Even in this scenario, the underlying momentum has been favorable more to the bullish traders rather than to the bearish traders, and simply adopting the buy on dip strategy would have been quite helpful while dealing with this low volatility scenario. Now moving ahead, of course, we have to figure out that even if we are going to go short on the Euro USD, we indeed have to do the comparison and see what is the best bet in which particular major currency we can have faith and expect it to strengthen further against the dollar. And for that, of course, we have to look at the relative moves, who has moved when and how much. So both the timing as well as the magnitude of move carries lot of weight while determining these relative strengths and weaknesses. Now, looking at the Euro USD's price formation, as I said, we have these range bound moves, but the underlying momentum is still more favorable for the buy trades rather than to the sell trade, and that is likely to remain so unless we have any significant break with a sustained price move on the lower side below this immediate swing low. So till that happens, we have reasons to believe in the continuation of this upward momentum in the Euro USD. Now coming to the relative part, we have to consider the major currency pairs like AUDUSD, GBPUSD, NZDUSD, USDCAD, USDCHF, and USDJPY to see how things are shaping up and how we can profit from these relative strength and weaknesses. Here, if we consider the Euro USD charting in relation to other major currencies, we will get the idea of who is the best bet on which side. Let's see what's happening in the AUDUSD. And for AUDUSD, the things have been rather volatile if we compare it to the charting of the Euro USD, in which the moves were rather narrow. For the AUDUSD, the move has been more than 1 percentage point. So that's quite strong momentum for the AUD side. And looking at its price formation, the immediate move as well as the timing of the move, we don't really have to be in doubt that AUDUSD is a much better bet for a buy trade in this scenario if you are expecting the dollar to remain bearish and weaken further. Then of course, looking at these relative moves, we get the idea that AUD-USD is leading the Euro-USD on its rise. So if you have to take any trade between these two currencies, the AUD-USD has to be preferred. But before we can pass on the verdict, we have to also take into account the price moves of other major currency crosses, and in that scenario, how can we miss out on GBPUSD? GBPUSD is also showing this bullish trajectory with this immediate swing high now covering above this prior swing high. So here also we have the formation which is more or less favorable to the buy traders, and if we look at the prior decline, it was slightly higher compared to the Euro USD. So this is a case of somewhere middle of the road path being taken by the GBP USD. If we look at its larger time frame charting, I think the trajectory is also going to be not much different to what we are seeing in the Euro USD. So here also the consolidation is ongoing for last couple of days, and the GBP USD is holding closer to the range of 1.22. In today's session, it is also hovering around the same price line. Now moving ahead, it is continuing to have this bullish tendency, and if we have to see where it stands in terms of the Euro USD, AUD USD, we will have to look at its immediate high and the low formation. It made the high at 14:45 GMT for Euro USD. Let me see when it happened. Euro USD is showing some lag, but for low, we have to again consider the same thing. Low was made quite earlier for Euro USD, but then it didn't rise much, and this the rise of the magnitude is also less. So we have to put the GBP USD ahead of the Euro USD in its bullish tendency in today's session. Let's see the developments for NZDUSD. The NZDUSD is not as strong as its peer AUD, but it is also having a good bullish momentum. And it looks like that if we were to consider the charting of this NZD-USD, we have in place the formation of higher high and higher low. But for GBP-USD, though we have higher high, we don't really have higher low, as its low was lower compared to the prior low. So there is more of information of higher high but lower low, that is creating confusing signal. So in that context, the NZD is a safer bet, and it has to be placed behind the AUD in its relative strength of the bullish momentum against the dollar. But before we finalize any trade, we have to consider the formation of USDCAD and other major currencies traded against the dollar. The USDCAD is showing substantial decline in today's session, and in magnitude, that's quite a lot. It has declined after making the high of 1.369, that is almost 1 percentage point. So it is more or less like the price formation of AUD USD. Now it is just a matter of time who is leading and who is lagging. In terms of the magnitude, there is not much of a difference. The AUD USD made this fresh 4-hourly high at 14:10 GMT. For USD CAD, the decline happened bit earlier, and after that decline, after that fresh low formation, the decline has been substantial. So all these factors taken together, we do have the scenario where USD CAD seems to be in a firmer footing. It is continuously declining, and it is not correcting much from these highs. So it looks like that the USD CAD is a better bet for the continuation of the slight weakness in the US dollar, and while trading with the trend, we have now the advantage with the USD CAD, while the Euro USD seems to be the weakest of the lot. It is so only going sideways. It is not displaying any signs of strength in its run on the higher side. The USDCHF is also not that much strong, but it is to some extent holding on to its gains. So it is also a middle of the road currency. There is not much bearish, nor it is bullish. It is simply trading sideways with a slight bias on the bearish side with the formation of lower low. But this high, immediate swing high, is almost identical. There is not much of a difference. So this has to be placed in the middle. It is not really advisable to go for the trade against the trend as well as with the trend. It is better if we go for the strongest of the lot. For USDJPY, the trajectory is similar with the decline happening in the US dollar. So that has resulted in the formation of lower lows and lower highs for the USDJPY. The magnitude also looks good, but it is not looking that as strong as in the case of USDCAD. So I would say that still we have the largest strength being displayed in the USDCAD, which is then followed by the AUD USD, and Euro USD in relative terms is the weakest of the lot. So as and when the sign emerge of a possible turnaround in that scenario, it will be a better deal to start looking for shorting opportunities in the Euro USD. But as the things stand, it is better if you want to go with the trend. Then in that scenario, going for the shorting of the USD CAD, or for a second choice, keeping the AUD USD for a long trade in mind. Now let's consider the developments on the equity side. Here, after the start of the North American trading session, the US trading session, we are seeing increased volatility, and there has been short spurt from the levels of around 33,680 to around 33,750. And if we consider this earlier trajectory of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, there is a formation of higher highs and higher lows, and that is ongoing. So here also we have the possibility of this upward momentum continuing, but then you have to decide when is the right time to go for a new buy trade, or if it is the time to simply sit on the sidelines and wait for things to evolve more. So in these two scenarios, I think as the things stand, we have the momentum in favor of bulls, unless and until there is any strong decline below this 33,600 level. We don't really have to bother much, and it is seemingly in a good position to trade with. So keeping that in mind, I think my laptop's battery is too low and unfortunately I can't really plug in. So we will continue this session as long as battery lasts. And let me check. It is showing 12%. So this session I should be able to finish. So pardon me on that count. Now for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the pricing trajectory is bullish even if we consider its higher time frame charting. We have the Dow Jones Industrial Average futures trading above the last 24 as well as 12-hour moving average. Though the magnitude of this rise has not been much, but at least in terms of the timing, it is trying to move on the higher side than the lower side. So unless and until there is any significant break below 33,600, I think we have good reasons to be optimistic about the continuation of the buy trade. But in that scenario, first thing first we have to do is get the comparison done between these three key equity indices for the United States. And in that case, if we look at the S&P 500 price action so far after the start of North American trading session, it has declined and it is even showing the signs of possible formation of a new swing low below this prior swing low. So that is a cause for concern, and it is then becomes advisable to avoid any kind of long trades in the S&P 500, at least if not in all of the US equity indices. We still have the momentum on the bullish side for the Dow Jones, but it will be interesting to see how things shape up for the S&P 500, and if we see fresh decline and then sustenance in that decline with not no swing high being made above or significantly above these 3,960. In that scenario, we can go for the initiation of the new short sell trade with the possible move towards 3,900. So that possibility is there, and on the lower side at least we have the lead with the S&P 500 rather than the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which has been able to hold on to its most of the gains. The story is much weaker for the NASDAQ here. We have strong decline of almost 100 points after the start of the US trading session. So this is a interesting phenomena. But if we go back in time, it has risen significantly as well, and now I think it is giving up some of those gains. So we have to keep the larger picture in mind as well. But as things stand, the magnitude of this decline is a lot more compared to other two equity indices for the United States. So we have to place emphasis on that and consider the NASDAQ to be weakest of these three, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average is slightly bullish. But we don't really have much clarity at the moment, and as things stand I think we can go for the initiation of the short sell trade in the Nasdaq if we don't really see the Nasdaq holding on to these recently touched swing highs, and if we see the Nasdaq continuing to consolidate for next couple of hours with these 15,000 sorry 11,585 high remaining intact. In that scenario, I believe there will be good reasons for us to look for short selling opportunities closer to this swing high in and around 11,600 or slightly less than that, while keeping the stop loss with a reasonable buffer. Maybe a stop loss above or closer to 11,650 should do the job, and we will have the momentum on our side. So all we have to do is allow the Nasdaq to consolidate more, and in that consolidation, it shouldn't really break above these immediate swing highs. So that is one condition for us to go bearish in the US equities, Nasdaq in particular. But if we see these equity indices holding well, and we don't really have break on the lower side, then maybe we will have to change our outlook, and that will be for the Dow Jones, which is not really showing much significant downward pressure, and it is likely to move higher as and when things will be more favorable. Let's consider the development for European equity indices before we wrap up the session. Here for the Dow Jones, the DAX, the things are more inclined on the bearish side rather than the bullish side. We have this formation of lower lows and lower highs. With for last 2 days, the price action has rather gone sideways. It is not really moving much. It is moving in a very narrow range, but you can't really miss the bearish undertone, and that is something which we will have to keep in mind even in today's session. So here, as the consolidation is unfolding, if we don't really see any significant break above 14,300, then I think the natural course of action for any trader to do in the DAX will be to look for short selling opportunity closer to this swing high while keeping the stop loss anywhere above 14,300. We should be a good enough buffer, and in the process we can expect the DAX to decline further below the immediate swing low of 14,193. Let's consider the development for FTSE 100. For FTSE 100, we have the price formation in a narrow range with this decline happening below the prior swing high as well as above the prior swing low. So this is an interesting phenomena, and the range seems to be narrowing and narrowing. And now keeping that in mind, here it will be a better idea to wait for a breakout on either side. Unless there is a formation of higher high or higher low, we will be in a tough spot. So I think